Hey guys, welcome back to Duel podcast with your hosts Alicia Solomon and Megan Hines, where we talk all things the challenge. And we are back for a whole new season on the flagship property on MTV, Challenge Season 38, Ride or Dies. We're going to get into the cast for this season. We're going to talk a little bit about the trailer that was put up, but also we're going to get into the documentary that has been going on for the past few weeks. And we're gonna share some thoughts about that. So we're gonna get started off with the doc because that's been a prevalent thing throughout the weeks. People have been very nostalgic about the seasons mostly, and a lot of good moments were being relived. And there are a lot of good just talking points from the documentary. So for what you've seen on the doc, what were some points that kind of like came out to you?
I mean, I did not watch all 6 episodes. Just point that out at first. So from what I see, it's definitely giving context in terms of where it started, how it started, the thought process of the creators of the show, Bunham and Murray. I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong. I apologize. R.I.P. to the lady. But yeah, from like their concept of just making the real world in general, and then it developing into road rules, and then that developing into the real world versus road rules, and then that developing into what we know as a challenge, and for that to be on for 38 seasons now, that's a very long time in terms of making reality TV. And for them to be making it for 30 years, I think it's just a testament to them, because even though like there are plenty of times we shit on the show, we shit on the concept of things, we shit on the production, we shit on a lot of things about the show, the fact that it's still on and running and people are like highlighting and greenlighting the show, I think is just a testament to them and the money that they're making over there at that company and that production company. So I'm gonna start off with the good. I think also the framing of the show and just how Bill Simmons once famously called the show, and for how long he's been talking about the challenge and speaking on it on his previous shows and whatever, calling it a fifth sport and just making it into something that is way bigger than, honestly, I think they're just very much kneeling into that fifth sport comment and compliment that Bill Simmons was trying to give the show. And I think that's what's kind of made some of the thought processes and some of the directions that the show has gone into in the past maybe 7 or 8 seasons. Because once they started getting into season 20, you can really see them developing the thought process and idea that this is actually a fifth sport, quote unquote. And they just went on head all into it. And so it's definitely interesting to see how they framed it. There was also something that I found funny was when they showed Wes in the finals and him like full body cramping, and they showed Kenny picking him up. But the producer on the show did not say Kenny's name. And I think that also made me realize how much terrible shit has happened behind the scenes and on the show, and a lot of things that they won't frame. And I think in this society of where we're getting a lot of documentaries and behind the scenes shit on like things that nobody asked for. Like, why is there a Barney documentary out there right now? Like, please, like, let's stop the documentaries and let's save lives out there, please. But honestly, like, given the fact that there was so much bad, they were just highlighting what they obviously are going to just glorify their show and their product, which they should. But I think it's also good to remember and also have like a little bit of context of a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes on that show that made people's lives messed up and changed people's lives in a negative way and affected people. So I think it's like two sides to it, and I know that they're just gonna keep, of course, pushing their product. This is 38 seasons. They had Kim Kardashian on the show crying out loud, having talking points. Like she did not even seem remotely truthful in anything that she was saying. No real shade to Kim, but girl, very robotic on the show. Very much like spoke with my friend, and like I said I wanted to do this. As if Chris Jenner does not exist, who created your whole life. Like, please relax, Kimberly. Come on,
I will
come on.
say she did say she when she watched the show she loved Tech and Ruthie. Shout out to them because they are some good people. So hey, like
Yeah.
if
No, I love Tuck and Ruthie too. Like, I love them on the Hawaii season. I'm not saying that she didn't watch the show, but I'm
yeah,
saying that her answers were very rehearsed, which obviously she's who she is, so that's what's gonna happen.
yeah. On the note of like how the show started, like seeing because I came into the challenge full of like in the midst of like the Are You the One crossover, like the second season of that, second or third season, because they started on like X's too. But seeing how everything started, like with real world and real rules, and how like they were just going off the fly of different things on those seasons, and then saying, oh, let's have like Boston and Islands kind of like come together for a crossover. And essentially, that's how the show started. And then seeing how, as time went on, they tried to tinker with and see how different things would work and how they perfected different things as well. From like the eliminations, like the first elimination they ever had, both Yes and Veronica were gone, and to like the parties that they had, like the toga party they had when like they didn't have any power on one of the seasons as well. That birthed all the different like costume parties that we have to this day on the show, which is really dope to see. And I didn't know this that Mark and Eric Nice were the host of one of the seasons. And like, see, this is why I love Mark. Mark is always down for a good time, but he's going to give business. And I love that they use them as hosts on the show. I kind of want to see some like alums kind of come back and like do like a special and host something. I think that would be cool. But
I mean, it's only a few people who can do that, which is Mark and Eric, um, Dave Maripas, RIP, and then there's TJ. So
yeah,
there's not really much people that they can really go to do that kind of crossover with. But I think the idea of having people who are on the show that yeah, the idea that Mark and Eric were on the show for the first and second seasons respectively and then became hosts, I think having them coming back as hosts in that kind of context of where like older veterans who probably are not more active on the show but are still in the challenge hemisphere of things come back to host the show, that can be something to be done too. But I think at this point TJ is such a staple in the show that it doesn't really make sense. Like unless TJ is unalived, like I don't see that happening.
yeah. And I will say, like, I did enjoy seeing Miz host a spinoff. And I didn't know as much of the Miz before then, but since then I've went back and like I've watched like the older seasons. He was a good time and he was a good competitor. And to see his trajectory outside of the show with wrestling, that's been really dope to see, and like how like he really set himself up for success after the show. Um and then like going
Don't
into
forget
the
Sports
episode.
Nation too.
Oh yes,
He
I
was
forgot.
on Sports Nation for a very short time. Shout out to Sports Nation.
That was a good show. I like that
It
was like
was.
my
It
show.
was. It
And
was.
then in other episodes they went through different like aspects of the challenge. They did, I want to say too, like they did a good job on highlighting different things from the show. Um they even like talked about TJ's accident that really like put a kind of not a stop on the challenge role, but it really like harped like heavy on everybody that was like on cast, the crew, and just how they were really excited to see TJ when he came back on Rivals after the accident. See him very like in good spirits, and like if TJ wasn't able to come back, and like what else? Who else is going to replace him? But to see him come back, hats off. Like he is a trooper, and that led into like the Critters compilation and why he doesn't like Critters at all in the show. And it's always funny to see people quit, but knowing the reason why, like he harps on people who quit, and we don't see a lot of them come back. I love that for TJ because like he is a staple. He is when you think about the challenge, you think about TJ, and I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been hosting this for a very long time now, and he's just someone who you automatically are going to see, even though there may not be like a lot of familiar faces these days on these seasons that are being hosted, but like TJ is going to be coming on. Like that's all you got to know. So all you got to know is TJ is going to be the host, and that's just that. But definitely seeing his accident and how his just him just readjusting to his life and all of that. I mean, it was interesting to see. I'm glad that they did include that, but that is a part of the story of the challenge because TJ is, like I said, and like we've been saying, he's a staple on the show.
Yeah, and it was interesting because like that they were filming Las Vegas at the time, and Leroy, one of his castmates, was there. And then like immediately, the season I think it was probably the season after when Leroy was on the season, TJ came back, and I just it. Leroy was like trying to go see like check on him, but seeing how that kind of like flipped and on Rivals, I just love like that kind of like moment. Um, and then there's one thing I did not know that happened that they showed on the documentary was that like on War of the Worlds, the set for the nations got flooded. And they had to redo the set and within like a day or so. Like it was a lot of money. And you know how production and how things cost money and time. But the way that they were able to readjust and with not that much resources because they redid that set with crates and it still looked really great.
Yeah, shout out to the set dresser, shout out to the production design team, shout out to the art department. Like it's a lot that goes into production, and so I know that all of those people were working hard, and especially something like that where it's literally a natural disaster happening and all of the work has gone to shit and there's nothing that you can do because Mother Nature is just running her course in this area right now. I mean, like they did what they needed to do and they still came through within the day. So I know those people were working like long, hard hours to get that done. So just my hats off to them in that. And then like also just them working in these conditions because when you're working in production, like as much as the cast is there 24/7, so are these people. So they may have first and second shifts and so and so forth, but like they're there all the time. They're on the scene, they're away from their families just as much as the cast are away from their families, sacrificing to create a product. And in the earlier seasons when they were doing this, like they were in the middle of a hurricane. Like it was just a lot of things that they showed that just honestly, because now that I work in production, I understand like the sacrifice that these people had to put in to create this product. However, there's still things that need to be adjusted and worked on, but I get it and I understand now and I can really just connect with the people that are working on the set because it is a lot that takes to do shit like this.
I will also say shout outs to Sarah Grayson. Like I had heard her name like throughout like the years, but I never knew who exactly she was. And when she came and sat in that chair, I was like, ma'am, hats off to you. Because she was on Campus Crawl of Duel, who I and Kendall, who I know of from that season, and she won the gauntlet. Like she was literally like in elimination 5 times. They kept putting her in, and she was not leaving, and she ended up winning with her team. Hats off to her.
Yeah. Sarah definitely she went through a lot on that show, and just her overcoming a lot of things in general, but definitely shout out to her. Shout out to all the comeback stories that they had shown. I know they did like an underdog um point of view and then also a goat point of view. And just to wrap it up, they also did, like tributes to Knight and to DM, which were very touching to see that, them, speak on those people that were an integral part of the show. Like the reason why I kind of could freaking ingest Jemmy was because of Knight. Like he was just chill as fuck. And then also seeing how CT and Dean's relationship had flourished and how it still affected him to this day, where it's really hard for him to speak about it. And I mean, like, it's just so much that, like, again, these are people's lives that we're seeing. This is what reality TV is, that we're seeing play out on TV. And so, for these people who have, since passed and gone on, it's hard to see, but it's like, wow, like, this is a family in the challenge circle and how these people are. So it was very touching to see those tributes.
I was literally in tears for like that whole like from DM to night, and then seeing those are like sad tears, but also like dang, I wish I was able to see them in action and seeing this like still their impact to this day. I'm like I was really like crying. I'm like and I'm a sap, and I'm like they got me crying, and I don't cry a lot when it comes to the challenge, but they had me crying sad tears, and then they had me crying happy tears of the good moments as well with like the flourishing relationships from the show. Because like with show me and sis relationships from the show, they get weird. But seeing some of the happy moments, I was crying again because I'm a sap. And I was crying happy tears seeing Cam and Lee's relationship being shown on the show and seeing how far they came. I loved that moment for them. And yeah, there's a lot that happened. Like we just touched on like some of the big bits that we noted from the documentary. But yeah, also I wanted to give a shout out to Cara Maria because Cara Maria got a moment on the show as well. But I still am kind of mad that they didn't call her. They called Polly. But I really would have loved to hear her perspective about her journey on the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kara is definitely one of the main people. If you were watching for a very long time, she was always a constant on that show. So I'm definitely intrigued on why they didn't call her, but who knows?
There's still a lot of like I think bad blood between her and production, and that's why she hasn't been called back. Like this, and we'll get into the season, which I'm gonna transition into it. This would have been a perfect season to bring her and Polly back together on this season of Red Eyes because they're a couple. They've had experience on the show, and people want to see them back. Um, with the cast of Red Eyes, which premieres within a week, it's literally gonna be next week.
Less
Like
less than a week. Less than a week
yeah,
in like 5 days.
yeah. From this cast, where do you want to start off with? Because there's a lot of new faces. We got some old faces coming back. And then the usuals that we have been unfortunately forced to see for the past couple seasons.
I mean, we could start with people that we don't know because I mean we don't know them.
Yeah. Um, I want to start with so I'm start off with we've seen Amber B obviously because she's won the
No,
show
she's
on.
somebody we know. We could skip her.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Okay.
people we don't know at all, like
Okay.
at all.
All right. So first people that come to mind are Horatio Gutierrez and Olivia Kaiser. I know Olivia from Love Island. She was the winner of Love Island season 3 with her now ex Corey. And then Horatio was from Exation Estados Unidos 5. He was on a show, but I don't know as much about him. But I know more so about Olivia.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak to Olivia being the winner of Love Island since you watched the season. I think that was the season that Cash and Cinco just came from, and also, um, gosh,
Trina,
what is that? Trina. What was the
yeah,
white girl's name we just seen on the Challenge USA?
Shannon, Shannon,
Shannon. Yes,
yes,
Shannon. Yes, she came
yeah.
from that season.
Yeah, it's been a resurgence of people from that season of Love Island. They've been kind of not. They've been doing a good job, I would say, of like being booked after the show. But Olivia, she won the show with her ex Corey, and she was a good time. She wasn't really in like a lot of drama, but she had a journey throughout the show of like not of like she was partnered with a guy named Giovanni, who was also on season 3. um, and then
Yes.
that kind of didn't go well. She was like, I'm not feeling this, and then she moved on to different like, another person, ended up being Corey. They stuck it out for a while, and they ended up winning. But she was a good girl on the show. Didn't really shake the table a lot. Um, but she was not really someone I really thought of to be on this show. But I am interested to see what she brings to it. I when I saw that season, I was like, oh, Shannon needs to cross over, but she went to USA and she's not doing it anymore. But we got Olivia, so I'm interested to see what she does.
Again, I don't know her, so we can move on. Her
Yeah.
and Ricky Iglesias. I don't fucking know. Move on. Like I don't get nothing.
All right. The next pair of people that we do not know are Johnny Middlebrooks and Raven Rochelle. Um, we both know Johnny from Love
Well, we know
Island.
Johnny. Yes.
Yes.
Johnny was
Um,
with Sully, who Sully was on the USA show that just aired, and Johnny was on X on the Beach or All Star Shore,
also
whatever that
sure.
show is called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Johnny seems like he would be the prototype to be on the show. He gives kind of that Corey vibe of somebody who would probably consistently be on the show, uh, giving competitive, but then also having to find his footing because he's not really plugged in with the vets like that to be protected. So I don't know what Johnny's gonna do this season, and then I don't know the young lady that's on the show with him.
The young lady that's on the show from is a friend. But I think I remember seeing that they didn't really meet until they got to the show. Like they were friendly, I think, online, but they didn't meet until they got to the location. So
Okay.
yeah. Um, but I will say, like, we got Jeremiah like two seasons ago. Yeah,
Hmm.
2 seasons ago. Johnny, I would have wanted to be on that season, but we got Jeremiah first. So
Yeah.
I kind of was championing for him to be on the show. So hopefully he doesn't disappoint. I didn't like him at a certain point of Island. He fits what the show is. The next pair I would say is a pair that I know I do not like. I didn't watch their season. I know of their season because it was trash. Tommy Brackle and Annelise from Big Brother 21. I say that because I know I don't like them people because they're part of the group that were really nasty to a black woman on their season. And there's literally less than a handful of people, like one hand that I like from that season, and them two ain't on that list. Because I've heard things about them from that season that is bad. So I have nothing else to really say about them too.
We could just move right the fuck along.
Yes. The next pair is going to be Kim Tranca and Colleen Schneider. Prince was on Prince Charming. Kim was on Prince Charming 2, and Colleen was on The Mole Germany. I literally just saw a trailer for The Mole USA. I haven't like really looked into it, but it's a competition show as well. So they're two internationals. Like we have gotten other internationals, but it's just interesting to have like newer internationals on the show as pairs.
I feel like they're just a part of whatever network that is over there in Germany and those different parts of Europe or whatever. Um, and then they're just coming over here, which is completely fine as long as they just don't give a lot of what those rookies gave in season 37 because it was just please.
There are a lot of followers on that season, and yeah, that was a big disappointment of a lot of those Ricky in that season. Big disappointment, and I know like one that was supposed to be on this season. It's okay. I don't really care. But interested to see what they do. I know that Kim is part of the LGBTQ community, and we have not seen a lot of them really like show up and like are like in the game like that in recent years. So hopefully he makes some noise. And kind of shakes it
Didn't
out. So you
we
have a
just see
couple.
Corey on the show
Yes, but
like last season?
I'm not trying to count Corey right now, and I'm not trying to count
But he's a part of the
Huey.
community.
I know, but
They're a part of the community.
I'm
You
just
can't
saying.
discount them and being like they're not a part of it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they weren't respected enough from a lot more people on the seasons. Like it's just been like a constant like with that community, with the Pacific gay men on the show, they haven't been seen as competitors. And yes, Huey and Corey from last season, they showed up, but they still didn't really get that much respect from a lot of people. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because Sean Lineker, who was on like one of these seasons as well, they just threw my wayside. We ain't seen them since. So yeah, yeah, that's yeah. But I like to see that we have more of them, even more in the season as well. Um, that's all the new pairs, and essentially of like the new people. Um, Want to go into the people that are new with people we know?
Yeah, but new people, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, I'm gonna go to Laurel and her partner Jack because I know Jack from X on the Beach on the Peak, and that's where they met. Um, and they developed a good friendship since the show. In the trailer, Laurel's like really like family, like she's gonna ride for him. I'm riding for Jack. Jack was a good time in that show, and I'm excited to see what he does. And you know Laurel, a beast, been on the show for a while. She's back again. She's had like moments of like comebacks, and I'm excited to see what she does.
Yeah, I think she's coming off of being eliminated from against Natalie. So she's finally back on the challenge on the main show and just competing. I hope that this gives her an opportunity to be probably on the All Star show because I feel like she would be a part of that perfect trajectory of where All Stars should be going. But she's on the main show. That's all that matters. And yeah, I hope she does well ish. I don't know.
She brings
It is
a
what it
good
is.
mess. She brings some good mess, and that's if she brings a notebook again, I'm gonna enjoy that because that notebook really gave us some good TV.
Yeah.
Another pair of people that you know of, um, that have a new person, it's going to be Turbo and his girlfriend, which is actually not his girlfriend, Tamara. And we know Turbo from War of the Worlds, who won that season. He was on the second version of War of the Worlds. He also is from Survivor Turkey, and he's back after um, a win, but also some controversy the second season. So yeah. I was happy to see him back though, but I'm like, dang, like Turbo's coming back and there's mess when he comes back.
Is there?
Yeah, there was online mess and like stuff that happened that
Oh,
I
stuff that
found
we
out.
haven't gotten
Yeah,
through yet.
yeah. And then what happened? Then the stuff that happened with Jordan when they butted heads. So yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Okay. Okay.
No,
You'll
I
finish.
don't throw it. I'm gonna catch it when it comes. Don't throw it
Okay.
now. You just I'll catch it when it comes.
Next pair is going to be a married couple. We just saw her on All Stars 3. Kayla Kathia's Bird, but she goes by Kayla Bird, and her husband Sam. Why somewhat known from Love Island, but I also saw him on X on the Peak as well. And that's how, and because I think that's how they met, because Jimmy was on there too, and I think Jimmy introduced them. But yeah, they're married now. They came on the show 3 months into their marriage and competed on here. So hats
Miss
off to
Cheetah
them.
Cheetah Pumpkin Eater. Listen, I don't. I mean, I after her last performance, coming in like third in the final, and her bringing her husband now on the show, it's like, all right, like she literally probably just got off the plane and then they went straight to filming season 38. So I mean, I we'll see how it go. I don't know why you would go on reality TV 3 months into your marriage, but if it works for you, it works for you. But I don't think that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, no. But I wish them the best. They had like she's been different like since like they've been together, but yeah. Um Kayla on the show, it's a whole different animal. So but I know like at this point they're still good. So it's all good. The next pair is gonna be Nam, and his partner Emmy Bress. And we know Nam because he's been on Spies, Lies, and Allies and Double Agents, but he hasn't really kind of done well. He's done well, but he hasn't really panned out as the way some of us wanted him to because of different circumstances.
Yeah, he definitely got, I would say, the short end of some sticks in his couple of dealings on the show, and then like I think the last time he was an alternate, he didn't make the cut or he got covered or something happened. So Nam hasn't really shown his true ability that we know that he can do. So I'm definitely interested to see Nam and how he plays and how he fits in with some of the cast, because there's a lot of people who are back that were on seasons with him, like Nani, like Anissa, like Casey, like Fessy, however, Amber B as well. But then there are vets that are on the show that those people are also aligned with. So they have, you have Bananas, you have Laurel, people like that are separate from the people who we've seen for the past couple of seasons. So I don't know if they're gonna go big on big with alliances this season, where they're like, oh, we're like OGs, and then they're like, okay, you just been here. And then there are people who have done one season or two seasons, and like I'm interested to see the dynamics of the alliances, especially also because it's a lot of people who are new, but then also people who are just aligned with like the partnerships in general. It's just like partnerships can either make you or break you.
Yes. And his partner is Emmy Russ, who was on Beauty and the Nerd 2. That was actually a show that we had on Channel 5, like CW, Freaks and Geeks. That's what I think. That's a similar like concept of that show. So yeah. Next pair, it's gonna be you mentioned her. The winner of last season, Casey Clark, and her younger brother Kenny. And shout out to her for winning last season. She also like two-time finalist. But this is interesting because we both know Casey doesn't really bring anything else but what she does in the challenges. And now her brother is with her.
So Casey is typically referred to as furniture. So we got the sectional and we got the love seat with these two, because they just gonna give seat A and seat B. I I don't know. And then her girlfriend is on the show too. So I think that's also just a weird dynamic in just, I mean, it's like your brother and then your girl. So I don't even know how that's gonna work. Like I don't even know if that's gonna come into play, that she has to kind of play both sides. But I mean, it is what it is with Casey. I know that she finally got over, the hump, and she won last season with CT. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. The Big Brother Alliance is still here.
Yes. Speaking of, we're gonna go to her bestie and Messy Fessy. And him and his partner Mariah, um, they look
Mariah
like a
Lynn?
good team. Oh,
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Imagine if he was partnered with Mariah Lynn.
Oh, Jesus Christ! A hip hop advocate,
A hip
and
hop advocate, like, and Mariah Lynn has one of the greatest tracks of hip hop history with "Once Upon a Time Not Long Ago I Was a Hoe." Like, come on, like we got to get these two in the studio together.
yeah, but yeah, Fessy is with his partner named Mariah, Jadia or Jadia. I don't know how to pronounce her, the last part of her name.
Sorry, girl, we do
Um,
not know how to pronounce your name, Mariah.
but yeah, she is a friend of Fessy's. Um, and but the good thing about Fessy this season, he is changing his nameplates and going by his actual name, Face Out. Um, I'm proud of him for doing that. Um, but he's still gonna get some of the
What?
jokes. Yeah,
Why are you proud of him for going with his government name? We've been calling him Faisal this whole time.
I know, but on the show, whenever like they have the nameplates, they don't. It never said his actual name. It always
Right,
said
it said
Fessy.
Tessie.
So he's
Right.
so he's switching into like that people can say his name
Yeah, he's trying to
correctly.
rebrand, but he's still shitty. Like you could put whatever you want to put on it, but it's still shit. I mean, whatever version it is, it is what it is.
I know. I don't know why I'm trying to be nice about it, but
I don't know either. Like I'm trying to understand.
but like
I
I said, you're
mean,
still gonna get the jokes. I'm sorry, but proud of you, Face Al, for doing that. You're still
she's
getting
proud of
jokes.
you. I don't give a fuck. Like,
I'm still mad about that dang on tweet he did because that got me hot. Because I get it, y'all like this is a quote unquote America's fifth sport, but that's not all it takes to be a challenger. And that's why I was on his head. Because you're the same person that did not eat in a final, something that's key in the challenge. Make it make sense. I get you want to be a headbanger in these challenges. But sir, that's not everything. And we literally saw that a few seasons ago. Miss me with that. And I get it. I get it. But come on now. Like you had to be dense and then have to bring in Danny. Like Danny saw that shade and caught it and had to let you
and
know.
then his wife Kiki checked it because she is going to check it.
Yes. And I was here for it because I'm like, listen, if you're gonna come from somebody who literally did what you were trying to do, be better about that. Cause it ain't slick. And we know what you were trying to do.
Moving
So
on from
I had to
him.
get that off. I'm sorry. I did. Um I did. And I'm like, I wanna like the guy, but he pissing me off sometimes.
Girl, what?
Okay.
You want
Now
to like him?
there's moments that he has, I'm like, okay, I get it.
God bless you. God bless you because you really are nice. You really are nice.
Speaking of nice, we're gonna go to the person that he has an issue with for the past 2 seasons, and Amber B. But now she got some muscle with her and her boyfriend, Chauncey Palmer.
Chauncey's just a funny ass name. Like that's just an old ass nigga name. Like why are you named Chauncey at 26? Like oh man.
But it's interesting too. It's interesting and funny though because before like her pronounced in public, she was literally on the season with Jeremiah cuddled up. And then before that, off season, she was had a situation with Nelson. And now they're
Oh,
in the
she
same house
was just
together.
living her life.
I know, but now and I'm like, is this awkward or no? Like, I think they're friends. I heard Nelson are, but like, dang, that's funny. But it is a challenge. Like, you gonna be
I
around
mean, they're
somebody that you had
grown.
issue.
The only person who would really make it awkward is Nelson because Nelson can get in his feelings. We've seen that with the whole Amanda Ashley situation that happened. in that season. If he makes it weird, then it's going to be weird. But I feel like if they're all adults about it, I don't think it's going to be anything. And then I also don't know Big Chauncey, so I don't know what his energy is. He could probably be one of the ones who's like, "Nah, I know what you was messing with my girl, so I ain't gonna really fool with you like that." Or he could just be chill about it and know like that's his lady. You was the past, he is the now, and it is what it is. I just don't know.
I don't know either, but it's just, I connected with Johnson like dang. But it's always like this in the challenge house. Like there's always gonna be somebody that like someone's with, and then they're in a house with so many dates to deal with. And
Hmm.
how that's navigated this season, I know Nelson is with a friend that some people do not like within the challenge world and in MTV fandom. And Maurice Mateo, who I know from X on the Beach season 2 and Ari the One season 6. Um, but yeah, Nerese really got some people hot. She do, and we already saw the trailer that she was cuddled up and had something going on with Jordan. So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I I kind of want to see how Annelise does because she's been wanting to get on the show as well. So it's time for her to show up and show why she wanted to be on the show and perform.
I mean, I guess she just wanted to be on the show to be on show. I don't know because why would you go on one reality TV when you want to be on TV? Why not continue it if they have a tandem of shows that go along with it? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know this young lady at all. I don't know any of the mess that she's involved with. I don't know why people don't like her, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find out.
It has something to do with her kind of stealing folks' men and just jumping around from man to man. That's really the crux of it. And also she was to some people she was annoying on X on the Beach as well. Farrah Abram kicked her in the cooch in a fight. They got enough. Yes.
She let Sophia's mom kick her in the vag. All right, we can move
Yes.
on.
Um, but shout out to
We can move
Nelson.
on.
Real quick, I just want to say Nelson as well. Them, I don't know if they're braid extensions or what. That ain't it. And I remember
You
running
think
a
his hair
test.
grew overnight?
No, I don't. But it just is
Okay, so then
horrible.
those extensions, you could say it. You could say it. Those
Okay.
extensions, the weave that Nelson got. He sat in a chair and got weave in his hair, like Jimmy Butler did. Okay, I don't know what's up with you men these days, but stop it,
Yeah.
please. Just fight in a war or something. Stop getting weave. But honestly, like Nelson is who he is,
Yes.
and you love Nelson. So
What?
Megan, as many times as you don't sat on this fucking thing and then hate for Nelson, please,
You're
please,
right. You're right. You're right.
please.
It's just Nelson is just a
Yeah, it's
funny
funny to hear you.
character.
It's funny to hear you say it, right? It's funny when I say it. Now it's seeking in like me. Yeah, you. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that
he is.
man, that man is something else. But I am glad to see him back. I yeah. Listen, yes, it is true. I am a fan of Nelson. I'm gonna stick beside him at times, but if he's wrong, he's wrong. I'm just
Okay.
gonna put it out there. Like I said, them extensions ain't it, and I compared it to Olivia's ex Corey, from Love Island. It was giving that because he had the headband too, and Corey wore a headband all freaking season of his little twisties in his head because Corey had long hair. I got it, of course, because Corey had long hair. But because Nelson got extensions in and put the headband on, he looked dumb. And we got to sit through a whole season of him looking like that. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Um, there another team that had another person on there? Um, I think that's yeah, that's
That
really
we
all.
that one person we know and that we don't know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
all of
think
them.
that was about it.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into the people that we
Oh,
know.
actually, oh, never mind. We do know these people. I was gonna say Jay and Michelle, but I
Oh
forgot we know
yes,
Michelle.
and we know Jay.
Yeah, I mean, of course we know Jay. I'm just saying, like,
Oh yeah,
I saw Michelle's face and I was like, I don't really know her, but I do know her.
yeah. We can talk about them though because they're the next kind of newest people that we know, but like haven't got their licks in. Like no, Jay's got his licks in because he had a fun Ricky season where he took down CT because CT got too big for his
Mhm.
britches. And I'm proud of him for that. And then Michelle we saw last season. Part of the group of Rickies that really got on my nerves because they were trying to play hive mind and follow the lead and follow the veteran. And that didn't work out. Like she was like coming into the Survivor strong with Michaela. Then her and that other man flipped on her along with everybody else because Emmy ratted it out. And that was a downfall of Michelle's game.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Michelle until I just remember that she we did see her last season on Survivor. It was like 85 rookies on that last season, so pardon me if I don't remember everyone, but yeah, I mean, they're gonna use that Survivor alliance along with the Big Brother alliance that's been going around. I just there's a lot of people that it's interesting to see them being on the show. And one thing like we didn't mention and that happened in the doc that was explained is pretty much how we got some of the newer people who were not from the Real World show and from the Road Rules show previously, and they created fresh meat. That's how we got Laurel and Teresa, a bunch of different people. And I think for the last couple of seasons, it's been frustrating to watch because they've been infiltrating people from other shows like Big Brother with Casey, with Josh, with Fessy, whoever else, Amber B, and then also now Survivor and a lot of the international people. So because they've been on those shows, which is an actual like treasure in reality TV, and just how Survivor is played and even Big Brother to an extent, I just think that them coming on now, it's like either who they've been in the house with before, or they're just gonna have to create their own numbers and just kind of kick ass kind of situation with especially with those Survivor people.
And it's only the two of them that are from
Yeah,
the American one this season. And and Jay was cool, somewhat cool with the Big Brother people, so we'll see how
right.
that kind of fares. Because I don't know what Turbo's going to like because he don't really care. Because even though he's a international Survivor person, like that didn't really like that Survivor thing didn't extend to the international people last season, where we had multiple people from different seasons from the US version and from the international versions. And it didn't extend because people wanted to do their own thing. So we'll see how that fares this season. The next pair um, I want to talk about is the ones that we don't like that are hella annoying are it's Devin Walker and Miss Toy Deal. And
Not much to say on these two white folks. I mean, we know them, we've seen them. They've been friends, they've been enemies, they've been friends again. They've had this contrived argument, and here they are now as quote unquote friends again, frenemies, whatever it is that they've now created in this partnership. I don't really care for these two people. Actually, that's I do like Devin. I do like Devin because I liked his season on Are You the One with him and Cheyenne, and I've liked him throughout the seasons of the challenge. However, he's been a little bit annoying, but that's always Devin.
Yeah.
And he's been true to being annoying. So I
Yes.
cannot be mad at that. And his relationship and alliance with the Big Brother crew has progressed and it's been rocky, but he's on sort of that side now with them being aligned. So it's just his partner that I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. Same. Like Tori was annoying. Like on her original season of Ari the One. Like at one point, I was on for one instance on that season because she was like doing a rap battle against a toxic man on that season. Other than that, ever since she's got on the show, got too big for her britches, and hadn't really kind of humbled a bit. And I'm just tired of her like talking big game and hadn't really done that much. Because when she came in as a mercenary on the season that on Vendettas, and Cam showed her up, I'm like, hey, the real from Ari's One is here. And that's that. And since then, she's talked big game and hadn't really bucked. She's bucked up, but hasn't really done action. And yeah, that's it on Tori. The next pair is going to be
Her bestie, the Tessie, Anissa and Jordan, her ex and her
yes.
best friend, supposedly.
Listen, I don't know why they did that when Anissa had a different partner, and then they complete because like that partner they had another stoppage in this season, and then they edited out, then had that person sent home, and now Anissa and Jordan are partnered, but them two
Who
don't
was the
like each
person?
other. I forgot, but it was a guy, but I forgot his name. That's how like far gone how long ago that was, but Anissa and Jordan are not friends.
Well, I mean, production did try to put Jordan back in the challenge circle things when they put him on the All Star season, and we saw that how that went with his elimination. And then, I mean, I'm sure they probably were like, hey, since we got him on the All Star show, let's kind of sprinkle him in back on the main show because there was a time when Jordan was off of the main show for the last couple of seasons because of some controversy and comments that he has made and shown. And I think, like we've mentioned, covering the Challenge All Stars, him and Naya being able to show that they have been able to kind of close that chapter on what happened on the Portland season and from the challenge and so forth leading up to it, it's kind of his redemption arc that they've been plotting and writing and kind of just editing to scene. So I think it made it easier for them to just say, "Hey, we're just going to throw Jordan into the situation," and then pair him up with Tori's bestie and Tessie and Nisa, who's just always there. You know what I mean? So I again, I don't know what to take or what to get from these two being paired together, but I don't see I don't see it for them. And I still like Anissa, but when it's time to let it go, it's time to let it go.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, I tired of seeing Anissa on my screen and flopping every time. Like, I'm tired. I don't want her to go out like this, but dang. Like, girl, I get it, but dang. Like, I cannot. And I loved, like, also in the documentary, someone mentioned how, like, when Anissa came out on her season, and it was Nelson, because Nelson and them are like besties. Nelson brought up the fact that like she was good with representation for Black folk and also coming out. And I'm like, Nisa has her purpose. Like she's had her moments, but now it's time to hang it up, and that's it.
Yeah, when it's time to give it up, it's time to give it up. That's just all I gotta say.
And the fact that they're coming in as headers, like at different points, there's three different teams coming in, and her and Jordan are one team that are coming in together as heavy hitters. we'll see how that goes. Um, the other another two teams are heavy hitters are um, Nani and Bananas. And we hadn't seen Bananas since his win on Total Madness. After that, he had his little show on NBC and took a quick little break. We saw him have an appearance on Earth 3 recently. And then he's here.
I mean, and he's not going anywhere. Bananas has made this a part of his identity. That's how people know him, of course. So if he feels up to it and he has the opportunity and they're going to give him a call and he takes the opportunity, that's just what it is. So at this point, it's like it's nothing to be mad or whatever over because it is what it is with Bananas. He has been on the show for 20 plus seasons now. I mean, this is his career, this is his life. So if we see him on here or see him anything that's close to it, whether it's whatever he does on the side, like, you know, it's funny that he's with Nani. Because of how they've been paired together in other seasons and basically how he's carried her. But we'll see how this goes. Nani is just she got to the finals and then lost in the elimination last season against her girlfriend. So it's just like I at some point as well, Nani is on that same path of Anissa with me. She's just a lifer at this point. She's just there. She's going to be on the show. She's going to show up, whether or not she is going to use her vet status to skate on to the finals or get her ass kicked in some way and get kicked off the show. I don't know. I don't know if she will make it over the hump, but having Johnny Bananas is definitely something that she's going to want to use to her advantage.
Yeah. And they had a whole segment about Nani too. Like as an underdog, and I get it. Like Nani's been here for a while. She's shown that she has heart. At times the heart gotta say, okay, girl, you gotta stop. That's it. Like she's
The
had
heart's
good
not what it
moments.
was.
It is. It does. But we'll see how this partnership does this go around because the last time they were partnered was on X's 2. Yeah, it was like yeah, it was X's 2. So yeah. Then the last pair of this cast, a pair that was that got me yelled at on Twitter, um, by not only you but friend of the show Angela, um,
All right.
Darrell and Veronica, who I called on Twitter when the cast came out, mom and dad.
Here's my little uh, dilemma with you calling these people mom and dad. One, these are not your fucking parents, okay? I've seen your mother. She does not look like Veronica. That's one. Two, we've spoken about Darrell on the show, and I've spoken of how I'm affectionate of Darrell. I don't see it for him to be a father figure for you. I'm sorry. Three, okay? Three. These people are barely holding on. We seen how Darrell went out. Veronica got DQ'd. They're holding on by the hairs of their chinny chin chin. So we just gonna pray that they don't look like parents on this season of the show, and they look like true vets that can still hang in there and that are not on their last leg. Okay, because I said this last season when Darrell was cramping up against Jordan and struggling. I wanted to see Darrell take a break. Just go be a family man. He took time off before. I feel like Darrell would be well suited enough and well deserved to take some time off now after being on these last couple of seasons of the All Star show and doing the main show on Double Agents season or Spies Lies and Allies. I'm forgetting
No,
which
he was
one it
on
is.
Double Agents.
Okay, he can do it with some time off. Veronica is now coming back on the main show after being off for a while, but she was just on the All Stars, like I said, and she got DQ'd just for walking down the stairs. That's some old people shit. Okay, falling down the stairs, just slipping and cracking it and fucking something up, and now she out the game. Like, come on. I want them to do well though. But last note, these are not your mom and dad, okay? These are not your parents. Please have some respect for your mom. Thank you. That was only my problem. You have a mom.
I know. Listen, I was just very excited, even though they didn't have that great of appearances on All Stars 3. I was just very excited, and in the moment, I was like, "Yay!" OGs that I like, because some of the OGs I don't like. I just had to put it out there. That's it. But I'm excited to see how they kind of bounce back from All Stars 3. Um, and yeah, like I'm just excited to see them like back on the main show at least. Like Daryl kind of at least took a break from the main show. He didn't do Spy Flies and Allies, but he did the two back to back All Star seasons. Well, three altogether. But
Right.
I'm just glad to see him back on the main show because we still need the good vet faces on the main show instead of like the ones I don't like. But that's
Yeah.
it. That's all I was saying.
Uh,
I guess I got too excited. Like you said, I do have a mother. But I was just very excited, and I've grown to enjoy Veronica, so that's why it says that. So that's it.
okay.
Um, that is all the cast. From the season. Are there any standouts so far?
Um, quickly, I mean, it's a lot of people that we don't know, but they're sprinkled into the people that we do know that we just went over. And I think I because I don't know the actual format, I know that it's ride or die. That's the concept, and I know that it's partnered. There's so many twists and turns that happen that they love to throw in now because that's just what the challenge does. So I don't know like the particular format of this show, but I'm definitely interested to see how a lot of the newer, younger vets, because I feel like people who do the show for like 2 seasons are called vets. And it's like that's not what a vet is. But I feel like somebody who's in that kind of Amber B, J, kind of world of people who have been on the show in recent seasons, but don't have enough seasons to be a Bananas, a Duel, people who are on that status of being like decades into this shit. I want to see how they can play their game against them, and then also just what the thought processes are in the game in general, and what are they doing.
Yeah. Because it is a different kind of mix. I would have wished I've seen some different people on here, but I gotta get over it. But I'm excited to see how these Rickies really show up because like we've seen Rickies who kind of like don't give it their all, like who quit. But I think we have a good group of Rickies that can shake the table a little bit and also give the attorneys and the big vets a run for the money. So that's what I'm excited to see.
Well, we'll see what happens. The show airs on Wednesday, October 12th. However, you watch MTV, it'll be on MTV on Wednesdays because every other day they show ridiculousness. So catch it on Wednesdays if you can, uh, on demand as well. And if not, we'll just recap it every freaking weekend like we always do. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 1 of the challenge, season 38, Ride or Die. Freaking crazy that the show has 38 seasons, but shout out to them for keeping production and stable going for this long. It's really impressive to see. And yeah, we'll be back. You can follow our page. It's at the bottom there on the screen. Dual Lines Pod on Twitter. You can follow our personal pages. Megan's page is at Megan Hines.
Alicia is at Ace_S5. And real quick, I've been tweeting about Big Brother a lot, and it's going to change slightly as we get into the challenge season. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys. You can also follow our YouTube page at Dual Lines Pod. We'll be live streaming every week, so you can catch us there. And watch the videos there. Yeah, thank you guys for listening, watching. We'll be back next week to talk about season 38 of the challenge.
Woo-hoo. I'm not gonna yell again, like I did on Twitter. But yeah, bye. Wait.
Bye.